welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to show you guys which are the brushes that you really need, especially if you're starting out. So I'm going to show you some eye brushes. I'm also going to show you some face brushes, and I'm going to explain to you why they're amazing and why you need them in your life. Don't forget this video a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel please, and ring notifications bell. And without further ado, let's get started. I'm going to show you guys all the brushes and explain to you why they're good or not, and I'll give you some options. And then I'm going to use them and I'll show you how you have to use them, okay? Let's go ahead and start with the eye brushes first. For the eyes, you mainly will probably need 3 brushes. These are the 3 essential brushes that you will absolutely need. These are the 3 brushes that I actually use the most. You don't need more than 3 when you start out, because if you're just getting into makeup and you don't want to spend a lot of money, I think 3 is perfect and it's more than enough. So the first one and the most important one in my opinion is the blender brush. This one is the 221 Luxe Soft Crease Brush from Zoeva. This one right here, you've seen me use this one a ton in my videos. I have like 2 or 3 of these. One will suffice, especially if you don't put a lot of makeup. I suggest you actually invest in a good crease brush because this will make all the difference. The other brushes, you can buy a little bit cheaper ones. For the crease brush, I suggest like this one for me it's just my go-to. It's the best one and it's about like €9. It's not too pricey, so I suggest you invest in a crease brush, especially for when you start out. Second most important brush is this one right here. This is my Ubu brush, and you need a brush that's flat but not too flat. So you need one that has a little bit of a thicker side, and this one is perfect because you can use it for the lid just to pack on right here, or you can also use it to blend out the outer corner. It's good to pack deeper shades on the outer corner and also to blend out that outer crease. It's also super good for the lower lash line to place color and also to blend it out. So this one, you've also seen it a ton in my videos. I love it. So you can get any brand that you want. It just has to be a little bit flat like this and also a little bit thicker. So the difference between this one and this one, this is the Zoeva 234 brush, the Luxe Smoker Shader brush. As you can see, this one is a lot more flat and a lot more thin than this one. I'm gonna place them next to each other. This one is mainly just for packing on color on your lid and also for the lower lash line. You can't really blend out color or you can't blend out your crease with this one. So this one is not super necessary if you have this one, but I suggest you get it because it's super good and it's good to have another alternative. And also if you want to add shimmer on the lid, just pack that shimmer on the lid and it looks super beautiful, and this brush just does it all. It's amazing. Fourth brush that I love and I think is super useful and you need it in your collection is a pointy brush. This one right here. This one is the M431 brush, and it's perfect for the inner corner for when you add your highlighter, but it's also really good like if you want to smoke out your lower lash line or if you want to pack a tiny bit of back in the outer corner. But mainly I use it for the inner corner because these brushes, like you can't really get them in the inner corner and you need like a more pointy and more specific brush. These are the 4 most important eye brushes for me, and I think you really need them in your collection. Obviously, if you're like on a budget, you can maybe suggest you get this one, the blender brush, and then get the Ubu brush, this one right here, that's not completely flat. Maybe get the completely flat one, this one right here, and then last but not least, get this one. So this is like the order I would probably purchase them in if you don't want to get them all at once. For the face, I suggest you either invest in a beauty blender because it's multifunctional. You can use it for your powder, you can use it for your cream contour, you can use it for so many things, obviously for your foundation as well. That's the main purpose of it, but you can use it for so many things. And instead of buying maybe 3 or 4 brushes, you can actually just buy one beauty blender and you can use it for a lot more things. So you can get the actual beauty blender. For me, it's like I have to have it. I love it so much. It's perfect. Or you can also get these from Juno & Co. These ones right here. I'm gonna actually use the one from Juno & Co. today. This one is amazing. It's only €6 and you can get it from Beauty Bay, I think. There's a lot more other websites where you can get it, but yeah, beautybay.com is your gal. I got mine from Beauty Bay, and they also have them in different colors, which is great. It's super soft, and as I said, it's only €6. As I said, you can either buy a beauty blender or you can get a brush. This is my favorite Zoeva brush, this one right here. For the base, I suggest if you get a brush, you actually invest in a brush because there's nothing worse than having like streaks on your face or your foundation not being like properly blended, because then, you know, for me, it's like the most important thing. This is my 104 buffer brush from Zoeva. I've had this for so long and I've washed it so many times and it lasted me so long. It's just incredible. It's not shading or it doesn't do anything weird. I bought it, I think I think this one's like 5 or 6 years old and it's still amazing. As you can see, it's impeccable. It doesn't shade. It's just amazing. So I suggest you invest in a good foundation brush if you want to buy one instead of a beauty blender. The next brush that you'll need, well, if you don't buy the beauty blender, you can buy both. The next one is a powder brush. This one right here. So I usually use I sometimes use the beauty blender or the Juno & Co blender to set with powder, or if I'm in a rush, I'll use this brush. And then it's also really easy to just powder your neck as well. It's go like all over. It's super, super quick. Mine's from AlexBeauty. It's from their vegan set, but you don't have to get this one, obviously. You can also buy, for example, this one from Real Techniques. It's their 201 brush and it's pretty affordable and it's great. And you can also use it for your bronzer and also to add your setting powder. So have a lot of options here. So after we set the powder and all of that jazz, the next thing we go in is with bronzer. So this is the bronzer brush that I always use. This one is from Better. It's their dual fiber makeup brush, this one right here. And it was like 5 or 6 euros. It wasn't very expensive and it's great for adding bronzer. You can also, if you want to add it all over a tiny bit of highlighter, it's really good because it doesn't pick up too much product and I find it really, really good and affordable. The contour brush, this one from Zoeva is my favorite. This is their Lux Face paintbrush and it's in the number 109. This one is perfect for the contour. I always contour with this one right here and then I also use it for my temples. It's not very good for the nose because it's too thick, but this one I only use it for contouring. So if you contour, this one is perfect for you. And for a highlighting brush, this one right here, this is my favorite highlighting brush. It's their it's their I can never remember the name. Y19, I think. I'm just gonna link anyway all the names so you guys can see them because I have like a terrible memory and the problem is that it came off so I don't remember the name. So it's perfect for like the highlighter. It's mainly just for highlighter. You can't really contour with it or do anything else. It's great for like highlighting your forehead, your nose, your chin. If you don't wanna buy a Morphe brush or if you don't invest in a Morphe brush, you can also get these ones from Essence, this one right here. And it's actually really good for your highlighter and it's actually the brush that I started out with. I started wearing makeup. It's actually an eye blender brush, but you can also use it for your for your highlighting, sorry. I'm fixing up everything. Okay, so enough jibber jabbing. I'm going to show you guys how to use these brushes and how to apply a simple and more natural makeup for when you're starting out. So first of all, I'm going to use my headband to get my hair out of the way. And I'm going to start out with my L'Oreal primer right here, the Looney primer. I love this one so much. And I'm just gonna prime. I've added the primer and you can either go in with your hands or you can use a brush, whatever you prefer. I wouldn't use a blender because it soaks up so much product. Oh, I usually just add my primer with my hands. Once we have the primer, it's time for foundation. So I'm gonna mix in my two favorite foundations, the L'Oreal Accord Parfait foundation and the one from Revolution, this one right here, their stick foundation. And I'm in the shade 3.5 golden beige for the L'Oreal one, and the one from Revolution is F4, this one right here. I'm just gonna mix these two because, as I said, I've been tanning a bit, and this one's too white for me, and this one is a little bit too dark for me. If you're mixing foundations, I actually suggest you use a brush because it's a lot easier to mix foundation. So I'm gonna go in with my Kiko brush, this one right here. I'm just gonna mix them together. And then on top of that, I'm actually gonna go in with the beauty blender just to show you how it works. Making sure everything is super, super blended. You don't want any harsh lines or any streaks. You don't want to be able to tell the difference from your neck to your face. So make sure you always drag it down your neck. And it's always good to add a thin layer of foundation and then always add more. If you add too much, then it feels like cakey and heavy. So if you feel like you need to add a tiny bit more, then add more later. But yeah, make sure you don't add too much in the beginning. So I'm just gonna add a bit more because I feel like I need a tiny bit more coverage, especially for this area. And I'm gonna keep on using my brush. I'm actually not gonna blend it out too much because I'm actually gonna go in with the beauty blender. So I'm gonna take my Juno & Co beauty blender and I'm gonna pat down everything to make sure everything is super blended. You guys, I've had a cup of coffee. I can't speak anymore. I've had a cup of coffee today and I haven't had coffee in ages and I'm just like on fire. Like, it's affected me so much. This one I think was really strong coffee and I'm just like trembling. But yeah, I'll have some water later and I'll be fine. Next is concealer. So you probably know what I'm gonna use. I'm gonna use my Too Faced concealer, this one right here in the shade Light Beige. And I'm gonna hide those dark circles that I have. And I'm also gonna prime my lid. So you can either use your brush for this, if you have a brush, or you, as I said, you can go in with the beauty blender. I prefer using a beauty blender for this part, especially because the brush can leave a few streaks, but it's up to you. If you want to invest in a brush or you want to invest just in a beauty blender, you have choices, my friend, so that's why I'm giving you lots of choices. But yeah, if you're starting out, I actually suggest getting a beauty blender because you can just use it for so many more things. But yeah, if you don't want to spend too much money, then I suggest you get this Juno & Co beauty blender or the original beauty blender, which is just amazing as well. So I'm just gonna blend. As you can see, it blends super easily, and you just have to like pat it down, and it like blends in what, 2 seconds? Okay, so now that we've blended in the concealer, it's time for powder. You can either set with this one, your under eyes and your lids, or you can use the beauty blender, whichever you prefer. I prefer setting my eyes with the beauty blender and then the rest of the face with the brush, but it depends on the day. So I'm just gonna add some of the powder, the RCMA powder, in my cap, and I'm gonna take the beauty blender and just a mirror. I can't find my mirror. Here it is. I can't see anything. Okay, so you want to make sure that this part is super blended and that there's no creasing. I'm gonna look up and just set everything. And then what I typically do, I just use what's on the beauty blender for both eyes. I don't go back in because otherwise it's too much product. Especially this Juno & Co beauty sponge, it picks up so much powder that you actually don't need to add too much. With one go is enough for both eyes. And I'm gonna take a bit more and make sure that concealer is blended. Blend it out with my finger. So you can go in with the beauty blender again, or you can use your crease brush, so whatever you prefer. So I'm actually going to switch to this brush so you guys can see how I use it. I'm going to take some of the powder and just set that concealer. I don't like to set my lids too much, especially if I'm doing a smoky eye or if I'm going to use a lot of eyeshadow. If I do a natural eye, then I'll set my lids. But it's better for the eyeshadow to stick to the concealer, and it blends out so much better if you actually don't set it. But that's another story. So I've actually only set this part, and I didn't actually set my crease so much because we're gonna go in with eyeshadow here, and I think it blends so much better on top of the concealer and not on top of powder. Okay, so now we're gonna set our face. You can either set your face with the beauty blender, or you can go in with a powdery brush, whatever you prefer. Some days I'll set it with my beauty blender, some days I'll set it with the brush, but since we've already used the beauty blender, we're gonna go in with the brush. So I take a little bit of the powder and then I add it where I think I need powder. Sorry if you can hear my air conditioning. It's just so hot in here and I just can't take it anymore. And once I add the powder, then I blend it out. The reason why I do it like this, because if you take some of the powder and you just start blending it, you're gonna have too much powder on one side. So what I do is I put a little bit on this side, put a little bit on this side, and just go in like that. And then blend it out. Also, I'm gonna add some to my neck, because you wanna set that foundation on your neck as well, otherwise it's gonna be like slippery. Okay, now I'm going to take my brush from Better, and I'm going to use my butter bronzer from Physicians Formula. You just want to take your brush, swirl it into that bronzer, and add it to the high points of your face. I always like to bronze up my cheek area. I like to bronze my temples as well, a little bit more, and I also bronze up this part, my jawline. The reason why this brush is super good is just because it blends out your bronzer so well, and it doesn't leave like weird lines or streaks or whatever. Also, you can use this brush for blush. I tend to use it for my bronzer and also for my blush. I just mix it in. Yeah, make sure you just clean it from time to time. Well, you should always clean your brushes from time to time, not just this one. Now I'm going to take my Hoola bronzer, and I'm going to take my brush from Zoeva, this one right here. I'm just going to contour, just like so. And I'm also going to add it to my temples. And as you can see, I didn't blend it out with this brush. I'm going to go back in with my brush from Better, and I'm going to make sure that contour is super blended, because you don't want like a harsh line. And then I'm going to go on the forehead as well. And instead of using this Zoeva brush, this one right here, you can use something like this, and you can use it for both your contour and your bronzer. So whichever you prefer, whichever brush you find available, whatever is more affordable, I'm just giving you some options here. Then I'm going to go in with my Then I'm going to go in with my blush from Paul & Joel, this one right here. This one is in the shade 106. I'm going to use that same brush from Better, this one. I'm going to swirl it in the I swear to God, I just can't say brush. In the blush, and take some of the excess off, like tap it off, and then sort of like smile and just add it to your cheeks. Add a bit more, and also add a tiny bit to your nose. Next up, I'm going to take my highlighter from Jouer, this one right here, in the shade Skinny Dip. And I'm going to take my brush from Morphe, and I'm gonna tap some of the, what's it called? I was gonna say contour. Some of the highlighter off, and just add it to on top of that brush, blush, add it on top of the brush, oh my god, add it on top of the blush, yeah, I said it right. Also to the nose, chin, and I also add it right here. What's left of it, I didn't go back in, so what's left of it, I'll just add it to the forehead. I like a very glowy look, but if you don't want a very glowy look, you can just add a very little. The good thing about this brush is that you can actually blend it into the skin. If you think you added too much, like I always do, take your beauty blender and just make sure you pat down your highlighter. And also make sure you do the same for the forehead. I'm actually gonna do a more natural look, so I'm not gonna do my brows, I'm just gonna take my L'Oreal Artist Plumper. It's in the shade dark brown. I'm just gonna comb my eyebrows. Okay, next up we're gonna go on to the eye look. I'm gonna take my 221 brush, this one right here from Zoeva. I'm gonna go in with my bronzer, my butter bronzer, and I'm gonna swirl the brush in here and just add it to the crease. I wanna start with a neutral color, and I always love using my bronzer in my crease. I'm not being too specific. I just wanna add some definition and a tiny bit of depth and some warmth. Okay, then you can take whichever palette you have. I'm gonna take my Naked 2 palette, this one right here from Urban Decay, mini palette. I'm gonna go in with the shade Primal, this one right here. And I'm gonna go in with that Zoeva brush and just add this to the outer corner. I don't wanna add too much. As I said, I want to keep this look pretty natural. Somehow I always start out with a natural look and then it always ends up more smoky than I want to, but you know what? That's just life. For the lower lash line, I'm going to take my Ubu brush and I'm going to take that shade Primal again. I'm going to tap off the excess and just add it to the outer corner. Take a bit more, and you want to work in steps. You don't want to add too much at once because then it's really hard to remove it. Just something like this, and do the same on the other eye. If you want the eye to be a little bit more smoky, you take that Ubu brush, take that shade again, Primal, and just add it to the outer corner just by pressing it very gently, like so. And do the same on the other eye. You're not blending it out, you're just pressing it. Then you take your Zoeva 221 brush and you blend out the outer corner just like so. And the same on the other eye. Then once that outer corner is blended, you want to blend out that lower lash line as well. We're going to take our flat brush from Zoeva, this one right here, the 234 brush, and we're going to go into this shade right here. You want like a neutral shade. It's called Skimp. I'm just going to take a tiny amount and then tap off the excess and add it to the inner part of my lid. So you want to add a bit more. Once we're done, we cannot leave it like this because it's not blended. So I'm going to take that Zoeva brush and I'm going to blend it with that darker shade and I'm going to go over it. And I'm also going to blend it in the inner corner. That's much better. And finally, we're going to take our M431 brush from Morphe. And if we can open the highlighter, okay. Then you're going to take some fixing spray. You don't need fixing spray. You can actually use water as well, so you don't have to buy fixing spray for this. But if you want to go ahead and purchase one, I suggest this one from Mario Badescu with rose water. So just take some of that and spray your brush and then go back into that highlighter, coat your brush, and then tap off the excess and just add it to your inner corner. See why this brush is so important? Because none of the other brushes can do this function, well, at least for me. It like makes your eye look pop so much and it's just incredible. So you want to add a generous amount. And if you think you added a bit much, like me, just take your Zoeva flat brush and blend it into that other shade. So like this, you don't see where it actually starts and where it ends. And then just go over it, just like so. I'm gonna add some of my Maybelline Lash Sensational Mascara. This one's my favorite mascara as always. I'm just gonna coat my lashes, my top and bottom lashes. Now that we're done with the mascara, I'm gonna add some lipstick. And I'm actually gonna go in with my Jeffree Star liquid lipstick in the shade Watermelon Soda. Just because it's a very summery vibe and I feel like I need a watermelon color on my lips. Oh, and it smells so good too. I'm actually going to use a tiny bit of eyeliner and just line my eyes, and just because I feel like I need a bit of eyeliner. I feel like a look is not complete without eyeliner, so just going to add a very thin line. Okay guys, so this is the end of the video. I hope you guys found my tips and tricks helpful and I hope you think that these brushes are actually worth it. I hope you guys give them a try and you actually go ahead and purchase them. Won't regret it. I think they're actually really great. Leave me a comment down below if you found this helpful. And as always, I'll see you in the next video guys. Have a great day and I'll see you soon guys. Bye!